All right, Nuggets fans, welcome into Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports and FanDuel. I'm your host, Ryan Blackburn, at NBA Blackburn on Twitter, part of the Mile High Sports Podcast Network. I'm here. I am ready to discuss an amazing Denver Nuggets win last night. They take on the New Orleans Pelicans and leave a very victorious final score, 122-88. It felt like outside of a 4-minute run, 3.5-minute run to end the second quarter, the Nuggets probably could have won this game by 50. They really were that much better than the Pelicans last night. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be there. I very much enjoy it as always. Hope everybody is having a good Thursday. We are going to discuss last night's game in detail and kind of give some other takeaways for this Nuggets group that continues to find ways to get better and to improve and to look really, really good. On today's episode, let's talk about that 29-2 run. Let's talk about the defense finally looking pretty solid here. And then we'll talk about the bench again, including some first rotation minutes for Julian Strawther, who had not been able to get in before that, but he got in and then immediately played pretty well. And don't let the final box score kind of change that. A lot of those shots were in garbage time. Don't really care about those. But it was really nice to see Denver roll. Kind of going through the flow of things, it felt like the Nuggets were going to dominate. First 5 minutes, first 10 minutes of this game, they look great. Once again, they showed in that stretch that they were extremely, extremely talented. I remember back to the Phoenix game a few days ago. That was another example of them coming out and immediately looking like the better team and playing a great brand of basketball together, not necessarily over-indexing on, hey, we have to go get Nikola going, or hey, we have to go get Cam Johnson going, or hey, we have to do something or other. They just generate great shots, and the action that they are currently running a whole heck of a lot of, the split action, is just generating layups for Christian Brown and good curl actions for Jamal Murray coming around the pick, around the DHO. Also some back cuts for Aaron Gordon mixed into there. Couple of flare threes for Cam Johnson. It's just a lot of great offense. And the Nuggets are extremely comfortable running stuff like that. And other teams are not comfortable guarding it. So every time Denver goes to that, early on, they get a lead. And now there are times where Denver, they haven't been awesome offensively all the time at the beginning of these games. Part of it is they're missing open shots. Part of it is they make a bad pass and it turns into a turnover and then a couple points the other direction. But for the vast majority of these games, and especially in this one last night, they just look like they're unstoppable, and there's nothing that an opposing team can really do about it with that particular action, especially. It's not the only thing that they do, but I invite somebody to figure out how they would stop the Nuggets split action that they are currently running to death. And I don't see much way to do it with the kind of personnel, the kind of passing and high IQ play the Nuggets put together on a consistent basis. Nikola Jokic goes for a triple-double, 21 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. It was really easy for him. It was 10 of 15 from the field, 1 of 2 from 3, didn't get to the free throw line at all, didn't need to get to the free throw line at all. Had a couple of turnovers, but c'est la vie. Cam Johnson had 7 points only, 2 of 4 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Not super involved again. And the next step for the Nuggets is going to get Cam Johnson more involved. But as we've talked about on this show, they don't necessarily need him at full strength right now in order to be the best version of himself. I did ask David Adelman last night how he is feeling pregame, and just is this something that could be recurring? He said he doesn't know, said he's obviously not a doctor. He's not going to try to put words into a doctor's mouth on something like that. But Cam Johnson did play. He actually played, I believe, the most amount of minutes on the team and didn't look particularly bad. Like it was just the ball wasn't finding him as often as one would expect. But that's because the Nuggets have such great options and they spread the ball around with the offense that they play. The only guy who touches, like, there's two guys who touch it on a consistent basis. It's Jokic and it's Murray. But there are going to be times where Aaron Gordon doesn't really touch the ball. There are going to be times where Christian Brown doesn't really touch the ball. Even in this game, Jamal Murray didn't touch the ball initially, ultimately got to 14 shots and was able to string together some threes in that third quarter. But it felt like Denver, it didn't matter who was going to be the one to touch the ball, who was going to be the one to score. Denver was just going to score in this game and was a lot of fun to watch. But Denver didn't finish the second quarter well. It was very interesting. The bench comes in and gives like they actually do pretty well. They play for an extended period of time. Extended period of time in that second quarter. So much so that Jokic only finally got back in with about 3.5 minutes left to go, just over the 4-minute mark for my rotation chart here. And it was actually the starter stretch when they came back in with Murray, Brown, Johnson, Gordon, Jokic that gave up a big lead. That it was an 18-point lead around that time. And they turned it into a 6-point lead, not their best moment. So how did they respond coming back out of there? Well, they went on a 29-2 run to start the third quarter. Basically, the first 8 minutes of the third quarter was an absolute onslaught. It was truly amazing to watch. And it's one of those runs that I will remember for a while as a run that is effectively, very reminiscent of what the Nuggets would do against other teams in 2023, where you start to really kick into gear, you flip that switch, you get yourself comfortable, get yourself ready, and then you go. And Denver looks like that team again. They look like that team that can do some crazy things. It certainly feels like they have all of the capability to do that. Now, again, it's the New Orleans Pelicans. I was talking to Matt Moore last night, co-host over at Locked On Nuggets, and we were talking at the game with Vinny Benedetto of the Denver Gazette, trying to figure out, is Willie Green going to get fired? Like, this is a bad situation. It's between him and Jamal Mosley, who started really slowly in Orlando. Sorry to Grace if you are following along. Just a really ugly performance from the Pelicans. But a lot of that was because the Nuggets took their soul at the beginning of this game. And then, like, at the beginning of the third quarter as well. It just felt like they were in complete control the entire time. And a lot of it was offense, but a lot of it was defense too. Like, you have the transition runouts, you have the highlight blocks. There was a highlight block from Peyton Watson in that kind of late third, early fourth quarter. You had some pretty good stops from Nikola Jokic. I thought he had a pretty good defensive game, although I will say Pelicans definitely missed some shots around the rim that they should hit in those situations. Like Jose Alvarado left a shot short. Herb Jones throwing up floaters. Zion Williamson got completely taken out of this game by Aaron Gordon. But we should credit those guys, of course. Like, it's a big step of it as well. Aaron Gordon was tremendous. Nikola Jokic brought a great defensive energy in this game. Christian Brown, I thought, like, he continues to move, he continues to run, and he didn't really have anybody to guard in this game specifically, but did his job pretty well. Actually, he did guard Trey Murphy. I will say that. Like, Trey Murphy was out there. Cam Johnson was out there. Trey Murphy was invisible in this game. He had 7 points, 1 of 8 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line. He played some physical basketball at the beginning, but just, like, disappeared, man. It was very weird. But like that New Orleans team with Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, and Zion Williamson, no, they started a rookie in Jeremiah Fears, who was their best player in this last game. And they also started old friend DeAndre Jordan, but he only played 12 minutes. It's not like they still have other guys that come off the bench that are pretty solid. And Jose Alvarado, Yves Misi, Jordan Poole, like they should be better than what they showed. And they sucked. They were horrible. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Pelicans. I don't know what they are going to look like going forward. Actually, I have a sneaking suspicion that they're going to be without Willie Green, their coach, going forward. But part of that is just because the Nuggets did that to their team. It wasn't something where the Pelicans were completely hapless on their own volition. The Nuggets took them out of what they wanted to do and were tremendous. They were tremendous throughout and showed a lot, in my opinion. They showed a lot of good stuff. Aaron Gordon deserves a lot of credit for taking Zion Williamson out of the game offensively. Christian Brown, Cam Johnson deserve a lot of credit for guarding Trey Murphy the way that they did. And there was just not a lot of pressure to be applied on the Nuggets on that end, on either end of the floor, frankly. Like Denver did whatever they wanted, and they turned on the Jets in that third quarter to the point where, yeah, it's just curtains for the opposing team. And this is the second game at Ball Arena that I've attended where it's just been curtains for the opposing team. Now, like two bottom three teams in the West, two bottom three teams that the Nuggets have faced so far. You can't over-index entirely. So Denver's process has to continue to be good, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like when Denver's facing really good teams, how they respond to those kinds of runs. Do they allow those kinds of runs in those situations? David Adelman actually had a really good quote last night that I put in my story that I will pull up now for milehighsports.com. He says, quote, "You're going to have nights where you play great defense and a team scores 115. But if your approach is correct, there's going to be nights where it really shows out like this one." He's 100% right. Like if Denver puts together this level of effort against an elite offensive team, not the Pelicans, then they probably give up 110. They probably give up 115 or somewhere in that general range. But the process was good. Denver's process last night on both ends of the floor, very good. And it allows for opportunities like this where they are building championship habits, and they show what they can do just based off of the work that they have put in and provided early on. It means that guys like Jokic don't necessarily have to be crazy superstar like scorers, crazy like having to put up crazy numbers on a consistent basis. I don't think that Jokic has put up very crazy numbers to start this season, and yet he just had his fourth triple double in a row. Like, that feels insane. According to FanDuel right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's the leader in the clubhouse for MVP at plus 175. Victor Wembanyama has passed Jokic. Wemby is at plus 300. Jokic is at plus 420. Like, he's dropped. And I think rightfully so, based off of the expectation that his numbers are not going to be as high because the Nuggets are excellent, because the Nuggets are good, and because this is clearly the way that Jokic wants to play. He was asked last night as well about the style of play that the Nuggets are playing. He says, quote, "Whenever you touch the ball on offense, even if you're just passing it, you're going to feel important. And you are important, especially on this team. Every moment, we need everybody. That's how good teams are built." He also mentioned last night that the rotations that David Adelman is using, they're a little bit more of a European style, a little bit more like, hey, whoever is playing well is going to finish the game or finish the quarter or finish the half or whatever. And that's awesome. That's great. That is a very encouraging thing for a Nuggets team that needs to rest Jokic to be able to get him through the finish line, to be able to get their other guys through the finish line too. It's not probably going to end in an MVP. So I need Nuggets fans to fully internalize that. That's okay. What it will end in is for Jokic and the Nuggets to be in the best possible position entering the playoffs that they've ever been. Like 2023, very close, but I think that they will be in the best position possible. Again, it's game 4. It's still early, but I do think that the Nuggets have really set the table for themselves, put themselves into a great position to be successful going forward. And like everybody is contributing at this point. Everybody looks great. Starters overall, I think, have provided some really great, exciting moments. But the bench is what has separated this for a lot of people. So when we come back, we are going to highlight the bench and some of the amazing things that they have done so far. I'm looking forward to getting your thoughts here on Pickaxe and Roll. This podcast is brought to you by Delete Me. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everyone feel vulnerable. Data brokers, they profit off of your data. It's a commodity. Anyone on the web can buy your private details. This can lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, and harassment. Have you ever been the victim of identity theft, harassment, doxing? If you haven't, you probably know someone who has. Delete Me can help. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to deleteme.com/hit and use promo code HIT at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/HIT and enter code HIT at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/HIT, code HIT. All right, we are back. Pickaxe and Roll, Ryan Blackburn here. Thank you so much for tuning into the show, folks. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Let's go back to the rotation here and really try to highlight some of the good things that are happening with this group. First and foremost, the sixth man so far this year has been Tim Hardaway Jr. Peyton Watson has stepped in, and he was the sixth man in the second half, where Denver basically, like, when you get into runs like the Nuggets were on, you don't really want to interrupt anything. You want to make sure that the starters are not playing anything beyond the third quarter. And so Jokic played the entire way. Cam Johnson basically played the entire way. Christian Brown, Jamal Murray, same thing. The only guy who came in was Peyton Watson, and he saved Aaron Gordon a little bit of extra trouble, a little bit of extra strain. And I think that was a great move by David Adelman. Like, he was matching, like, basically throughout this game, he was matching Zion Williamson's minutes to Aaron Gordon's. But then by the end of that, it was effectively unneeded. So Aaron did not come back into the game. That was the right call. There was no reason for him to do so. And I think that as a result, like, the Nuggets continue to be in this position where a lot of different bench guys are stepping up and showing what they can do. Tim Hardaway Jr. is the one that I think is the most surprising to a lot of people. Again, 11 points off the bench, 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. He is running hot right now from the three-point line. I think he's at 47% from 3. I don't think that is going to hold for the entire season. It would be cool if it did. It would be cool. Like, there is a stat that I was trying to tout on a previous article for Mile High Sports, that Tim Hardaway Jr. on open catch and shoot jumpers, like, and open and wide open catch and shoot jumpers, was 63% last year against for Detroit. Now, with Detroit, you think about the starting lineup that was out there last year for Detroit. It was Cade Cunningham, Tim Hardaway Jr., Oscar Thompson, Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren. Not a lot of spacing in that particular group. So they needed somebody like Tim Hardaway to space the floor on a consistent basis, and there weren't a lot of open jumpers for him as a result. A lot of the time, like, as long as the opposing team knew what they were doing defensively, it was going to be hard for the Pistons. It was going to be hard for Tim Hardaway Jr. to get open shots because he was the only one that was able to do so. So now you're in Denver, and with the actions that the Nuggets can put together, and the confidence that Tim Hardaway has to just shoot whenever he has space, the space that he has gotten in Denver is pretty good. There was a really nice pull-up three in transition that he had after that Peyton Watson block. That doesn't necessarily count as a open catch and shoot jumper or anything like that. But the vast majority of his possessions in Denver have just been a veteran who understands the kind of space that he's going to get, the kind of looks that he's going to get, and is very comfortable with living with the results. And he's been confident and consistent throughout for the first 4 games. And as a result, like, the threes have really started to fall over these last 2. He's shooting the ball really well. Curious to see whether it can continue, how long it can continue for, but I'm not expecting 47%. I don't think anybody in their right mind would expect 47%. But hey, who knows? Like, 63% on open catch and shoot jumpers with Detroit last year. Maybe there is an opportunity for him to outperform last year's percentages with the Pistons, and because he's in a better position with Denver. So we'll see. We'll find out. But it's not just him. It's Peyton Watson too, who looked amazing last night. The stats that he put up were tremendous too. 5 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks for Peyton Watson. The points number is not super high. Like, obviously there are other, like, everybody ate for the Nuggets bench last night. You had 11 for Hardaway, 10 for Valanciunas. You had 8 for Jalen Pickett, mostly in garbage time. You had 6 for Julian Strawther. You had 5 for Peyton Watson. You had 5 for Bruce Brown. Everybody that played ate and was very good. And all of those guys are shooting relatively efficiently, except for Strawther, who, again, a lot of that was in garbage time. But I just continue to really enjoy the Peyton Watson experience so far. His confidence in his jumper and his ability as a ball handler has really taken a step forward. So much so that we are now at the point that where he is as a player, I feel pretty comfortable that at some point in his career, he's going to be a consistent starter. Like, the actual ability that he has shown so far, jack of all trades type on the offensive end. He's not going to be the best ball handler out there. He's not going to be the best shooter out there, but he is extremely athletic and he is extremely defensive, and he can do enough that I think it looks a lot more like an OG Anunoby type or a Mikal Bridges type or one of those types of players with New York, where as long as you're around a team that has a primary pick and roll action, you should be able to shine in some extended minutes. I just think that Denver is lucky that they have Peyton Watson. They're lucky that he's a restricted free agent. Obviously, they didn't pay him for the contract extension. They still have the opportunity to pay him going forward. And I think he's going to be worth it. I think he's going to be a player that the Nuggets, if they did lose, they would be kicking themselves. So hopefully he continues to buy into this kind of role, because he's been excellent with it. And he will close on several occasions going forward because of how well he is playing. So we'll see where it goes from here, but just continue to like what I've seen from Peyton Watson. I mean, how could you not? Like, 5 rebounds, 5 assists off the bench, 3 blocks off the bench. Tremendous. And then Valanciunas is the other one. I guess Bruce Brown can get some credit too here. Valanciunas plus 14 in his 14 minutes. When you combine that with Nikola Jokic at plus 25, that's plus 39 for your 2 primary centers, which Denver obviously only won this game by 34. So the garbage time was the issue towards the end. Not really an issue. It was, who cares? But Valanciunas was, like, especially in the middle to late part of that second quarter, right before he was coming out, he continued to impose his will in those particular moments and was just, like, dominating. I think it was either Yves Missi or, who was it if it wasn't Yves Missi? Derek Queen as well. Like, a couple of guys that are just undersized to be able to deal with a player like Valanciunas, and they weren't able to attack him in the same way defensively. Denver's zone continues to look pretty good. They're playing more zone with that bench unit than they are with the starters right now, and probably for good reason. Valanciunas is pretty like slow on the interior defensive side of things, but he can move when necessary, and he can do some important things. And he's also just filling out his role. He's grabbing rebounds, he's scoring under the basket, and when the Nuggets set him up really well, his touch has been really good, like 5 of 7 from the field. Didn't get to the free throw line and didn't really need to. But 6 rebounds, 3 assists is a really nice number for him, and just continues to step up and shine. Uh, been really impressed with the way that this bench unit has come together. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Bruce Brown, who like has kind of faded into the background a little bit with all of these other guys that have shined and stepped up. But Bruce has been pretty steady. 13 plus 13 for him, couple steals off the bench, couple assists, 4 rebounds, including 2 offensive rebounds, hit a 3, 5 points. Like just again, doing a little bit of everything. Like it's funny, Tim Hardaway, I consider the 6th man, but he only played 14 minutes. Bruce Brown played 19, Peyton Watson played 23, and they're all impactful. Everybody's impactful. And I think back to last year and thinking like, oh man, wouldn't it be a dream if Denver had everybody play well at the same time? Like, when was the last time that happened? It never goes that way. It never seemed to be something that would happen on a consistent basis. So it's been great. No complaints so far for the bench unit. They have been pretty consistent the entire time. Not expecting it to continue. There will be times, there will be teams that are able to impact them at least a little bit more, but it does feel like they have some different answers. Like you have a quick guard you want to guard, then Bruce Brown's your guy. You have a defensive matchup you want to exploit. Jamal Murray is staggering with the second unit plenty of those times, and Aaron Gordon was also staggering a couple of these last games. And if you have a bigger player you need to guard, Peyton Watson is your guy. Like it just feels like they have more optionality than they've ever had before, and it's great. They're probably not going to have a 6th man of the year candidate. I'll say that. According to FanDuel right now, Jeremy Grant, surprisingly, he's been coming off the bench for Portland. He is the leader in the clubhouse at plus 1,100, but it's so early that I wouldn't surprise me if things got shaky. But for the Nuggets, like Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bruce Brown are tied at plus 8,000 for the next contributor there. Peyton Watson still doesn't have odds for a 6 man. I'm actually pretty annoyed and irritated by that from FanDuel, but yeah, they don't have any odds. Julian Strawther's still on the odds board at plus 15,000. I don't think that that's worth a vote, obviously, but yeah, Denver's going to be doing this bench by committee. There's no singular guy that you can point to and basically say, oh yeah, that's the guy. When they come in, then things change. Because it could be Peyton Watson, or it could be Tim Hardaway, or it could be Jonas Valanciunas, or it could be Bruce Brown. Like each of those 4 has really stepped up and shown what they can do. And it's been really nice. Been really cool to see the Nuggets be able to breathe and rest easy at least a little bit. So very nice to see. Dusty Old Cowtown asks, Ryan, do you see us filling the 15th roster spot? Not yet. I don't think that there is the day that the Nuggets fill the 15th man is probably going to be in 2026. It is not going to be in 2025. Now, that could change if Denver does have an injury that they need to add a new player. If they want to add somebody who's on the market, then great. But right now, they're also in a position where they could be looking at the buyout markets. There's plenty of other opportunities out there, but the buyout market doesn't coalesce until February. It's not a thing that they are going to have to think about for now. I do think that Denver will eventually fill it. I don't think this is going to be a situation where they are like just playing only their 14 guys. The other thing is that Spencer Jones, who is on a 2-way contract, has stepped up and he has shown that he can play. So there is incentive for them to keep that roster spot open. And then maybe it's Spencer Jones. Maybe he's the guy that eventually gets that full-time roster spot, and Denver gives him like the common thing that Denver does for, or not Denver, that the NBA does for two-way guys that earn full-time spots is they get like a 3 or 4 year deal that has multiple non-guaranteed years or very small guarantees, but gives the player that they are dealing with an opportunity to grow and get some guaranteed money that they wouldn't previously have. So maybe that's a Spencer Jones spot. Maybe there is a buyout market that Denver could get. Maybe there's a free agent that ultimately is out there and they have an injury and they need to fill it sooner rather than later. But right now, do you really want to touch the roster? Like, I don't. I think that Denver's in a really great place. And as long as they stay in a really relatively great place, I don't see any reason for them to fill that out, at least initially. By the end of it, they should have 15. If they don't have 15, I'd be pretty disappointed in the way that things have gone, but we'll see what happens. I don't have much else. I think that Denver, like, again, you can't over index on this game because of how bad the Pelicans were. But Denver made them bad. Like they did some things that really disrupted them and put them into a position where they just kind of folded. They folded like a lawn chair. So I'm interested to see what Nuggets fans think about it. Friday night, Denver goes to Portland for Halloween tomorrow night, and they will play their first NBA Cup game, their first in-season championship game. I think that that'll be interesting first and foremost. Denver, I'm not sure how much they're going to try. I'm curious to see what the injury report looks like. There were some talks about Jamal Murray looking a little bit hobbled with his like he's got like a quad or a lower leg injury or something like that. That was giving him some trouble yesterday. I don't know the severity of that. Others have said, "Oh yeah, this it's severe. It's something that he's being impacted by." But that's mostly people online who don't have any idea. Um, Cam Johnson obviously had the stinger. He was questionable on the injury report. Sounds like that's not a long term issue, but who knows? Like, not gonna try to predict anything there. We'll see what Denver brings to that game against Portland. Portland has been pretty solid so far. They have a really good defense, and their offense has been particularly surprising. Denver will have to match up with Jeremy Grant on the bench. Peyton Watson will have a big game, big opportunity there. And then Jokic has an opportunity to really establish and set the tone against Donovan Clingan and the Portland Trailblazers defense. So we will see what happens. I'm curious to see what Denver brings, but for now, that is going to do it for this episode of Pickaxe and Roll, brought to you by our good friends here at Mile High Sports and FanDuel. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into the show. Always appreciate the love and support on the podcast. As always, I will be back on Saturday morning following the Friday night game. We'll be doing that at number 38. Very excited to be able to be back in studio with my guy, Danny Bailey. Everybody, have a good day. I will talk to you guys on Saturday.